One of the most popular traditions in horror games is that the player should always be the one who's stressed and worried about anything that might be lurking in the dark or trying to hunt them down. Whether it's an angry ghost that got bothered by your presence in the haunted house, or some killer that wants to get rid of you for whatever reason. However, some horror titles decided to flip the script and allow the player to be the one in control of the evil in the game, and even direct it at other players in specific experiences. Even though it's a little bit awkward for people who enjoy horror because they actually love the feeling of being helpless and living in a creepy atmosphere. It's also a perfect opportunity for people who love the feeling of being in power instead of being the victim. That's why in this video I decided to feature a few horror titles where you can actually play as the villain who's on the hunt for prey and victims, or even as the character that's basically more sinister than any of the villains you might encounter in horror games in general.
I can see the exit. Follow me.
Deceit is a multiplayer horror game that combines elements of first-person shooters, survival, and social deduction games. It is set in an isolated facility where players are randomly assigned to either a group of survivors or a group of infected. The game consists of several rounds, each of which has two phases, a day phase and a night phase. During the day phase, players can explore the facility and work together to complete objectives, such as repairing power generators or finding weapons. However, some players are secretly infected and must try to blend in with the survivors without being detected. During the night phase, the infected players can transform into monstrous creatures and try to kill the survivors while the lights are out. Subsequently, the survivors must use their flashlights and weapons to defend themselves while trying to avoid being killed. The game also features a voice chat system, which allows players to communicate with each other, adding an additional layer of strategy and deception. You must work together to survive and identify the infected, while the infected must deceive and betray the survivors to win. Even though I'm not a big fan of multiplayer horror games, I actually consider the concept of this title very unique and interesting because it makes the hunting experience more complex and psychological.
Deceit is a game of trust and deception. You will either be innocent or infected. If you wake up innocent, you need to escape. If you are infected, you need to stop innocent players from escaping. Simple, right? Here's the catch. Innocent players don't know who is infected. So, who can you trust?
There's a family. Their home is befallen by calamities I can't explain. Another month went by when we got the call to go back to the house. But this time it was different. This time it was murder. This is a clear case of poison, and I need to interview everyone in the house again.
It sounds to me like this family needs help, my son.
This might be the worst case of professional neglect I've ever come across.
I have an election coming up, and I can't let this get out of control. I honestly believe we've been cursed, and nothing can stop us.
Shit, is that Will?
Another accident, right?
Oh my God! Why is this happening?
Invocations to Satan?
Lucius is a horror-themed adventure game that was released in 2012. It tells the story of a young boy named Lucius who discovers that he is the son of the devil and has supernatural abilities. Players take on the role of Lucius and must use their powers to manipulate people and objects to carry out his father's plan for world domination. The game involves puzzle solving and stealth elements and is played in a third-person perspective. To progress through the story, players must navigate various environments and interact with different characters. One of the game's key strengths is its ability to create a sense of dread in your mind, even though you're not being hunted by any entity. I can't explain it exactly, but I feel like controlling this evil boy and watching his actions is scary enough. The story is intriguing, and the game's ending is satisfying, but to be honest, it may also be disturbing due to its dark themes. The game commences on your 6th birthday celebration, and before you go to bed, a gentleman in formal attire pays a visit to you. He suggests that it would be effortless to imprison one of the housemaids, specifically the maid Mary, in the freezer. Therefore, you, being the son of Satan, should follow his advice and lock Mary inside the freezer. Later, you discover that the man in the suit is in fact Lucifer himself. Your duty is to repay a debt to the devil by eliminating all members of the household without leaving any clues. The game includes some clever ways to cause accidents, such as a gas stove explosion or rat poison. You even get to make a maid accountable for the death of another character. And this time, the butler is not the culprit. In other words, you will literally play the role of the very thing that you use to escape from in horror games. Last Year the Nightmare is a game that involves escaping from serial killers while in high school. You can play as one of the teenagers trying to run away, or as one of the killers chasing them. It has a Halloween theme set in 1996 and gives the feeling of surviving a haunted house with friends. As a teenager in the game, you have multiple objectives to accomplish within the school and must work together with others to escape. You can take refuge in the science lab and create a bomb to use against the killer. There are 4 different classes to choose from, including Assault, Technician, Scout, and Medic. Each class can make unique items to assist in your escape. But if you decide to play as the villain, it allows you to select from various killers, each with unique abilities to assist in hunting down and eliminating the teenagers. You may utilize the surroundings to your advantage, such as breaking through windows and walls to perform surprise kills. You can also become invisible, sneak around, and manipulate doors and objects to confuse other players. Other tactics include pushing your targets off ledges and buildings, planting poison gas traps in lockers and school desks, and placing bear traps on the ground to ensnare them. If you're searching for an experience that can let you unleash your hunting skills, then this is definitely what you're looking for. Aliens vs. Predator is a popular video game series that features the battle between two iconic extraterrestrial species, the xenomorphs, aliens, and the yautja, predators. Players can choose to play as either a marine, alien, or predator in 3 separate campaigns, each with its unique gameplay mechanics, abilities, and storyline. As a marine, the player must fight to survive against waves of xenomorphs, while using a variety of weapons and equipment, such as motion trackers, pulse rifles, and flamethrowers. The gameplay focuses on intense combat and survival horror elements, with the player being frequently outnumbered and outmatched by the alien threats. As an alien, players take on the role of a xenomorph, using their speed, agility, and ability to climb walls and ceilings to stalk and take down human prey. The gameplay emphasizes stealth and strategy, with players using their alien senses to detect enemies and plan out their attacks. As a predator, players utilize their advanced technology and superior combat skills to hunt down and eliminate both human and alien foes. The gameplay features a mix of stealth and action, with the player using their predator vision and weaponry such as the iconic wrist blades, shoulder-mounted plasma caster, and net gun to take out their enemies. The game also includes a multiplayer mode that allows players to choose from a variety of different character classes and species and engage in competitive matches against other players. Overall, Aliens vs. Predator offers a unique and immersive gameplay experience that stays true to the spirit of the Alien and Predator franchises. Love Sam stands out as a rare exception when it comes to indie horror games that confine the player in a room or house to experience terror. You will find yourself stuck in your tiny studio apartment, facing the burden of your past. A diary lies on your desk, chronicling the lives of 4 high school classmates. As you flip through its pages, you're transported back to a time of passion, uncertainty, and tragedy that continues to haunt you. You will discover that it tells a story of a high school crush, set against the backdrop of a small town. It portrays a narrative of feeling ostracized by others and believing that no one will ever reciprocate your love. This isn't the first time you've relived this story, yet you can't seem to break free from its grip. As you delve deeper into the events of that pivotal year, your environment will shift to reflect your fears and emotions. There's a truth you must confront, something that persistently tugs at your thoughts. The responsibility to put an end to it rests solely on you. Love Sam is not exaggerating when it claims to have impressive pacing and escalation. Initially, the story is a straightforward retelling of events, with the diary serving as a source of information for noteworthy incidents. The author's skillful writing and lifelike characters are successful in accomplishing what many independent horror games cannot, establishing a connection between the player and the plot. As the story progresses, the player becomes engrossed in the narrative and strives to unravel the secrets and relationships. This emotional attachment transforms the fears into a challenge to be conquered during the quest and amplifies the shock value of the revelations, whether they meet or exceed expectations. In case you're wondering if the game is scary or not, the answer is definitely yes. It actually contains one of the darkest atmospheres in indie horror gaming, and the scares feel very genuine because they're actually connected to the suspenseful plot of the game and its mysterious occurrences that you need to discover. I don't want to spoil the story because I know that many of you would probably love to play it. But if you're wondering why it's on this list, it's simply because as you go through the events and start to comprehend what happened in the past, you'll realize that the protagonist is not an innocent person as you might think. In fact, you'll find out that he's responsible for committing a horrible act, and there's no happy ending at all. To summarize everything, this game simply depicts a story of love and loss with distressing moments that may make you uncomfortable. The eerie presence in your apartment intensifies these moments as you read through the diary. It also skillfully executes suspenseful anticipation and provides ample opportunities to scare the player, and it has a great track record and multiple endings. In other words, it's definitely worth playing. Dead by Daylight is a multiplayer survival horror game that pits a group of survivors against a powerful killer in a series of intense matches. The gameplay is divided into two main modes, Survivor and Killer. In Survivor mode, players must work together to repair generators and escape from the killer's grasp. In Killer mode, players take on the role of the killer and hunt down the survivors. The game does an excellent job of creating a sense of fear and suspense, with players never quite knowing when or where the killer will strike. The game's visuals are also impressive, with detailed character models and environments that are full of detail and atmosphere. It also features a robust progression system that allows players to unlock new characters, perks, and items as they progress. The matchmaking system is also well designed, ensuring that players are matched with others of similar skill levels. I don't think this title needs any more hype or awareness. It's already one of the most popular multiplayer horror games out there. And the fact that you can choose characters, such as the nurse from Silent Hill or Freddy Krueger, makes it even more interesting. Lucius II: The Prophecy is the continuation of the original Lucius, which resumes from where the previous game ended. The sequel's storyline is based on the Book of Revelations, which prophesies about the birth of a child who will eventually take over the world with an iron fist. The prophecy has come true as the child is born, and now it's time to fulfill the remaining part. This time, the new caretakers of 7-year-old Lucius take him to the psychiatric ward of a hospital because they believe he needs help following a series of accidents that affected his family. The boy is assisted by Detective MacGuffin, who appeared in the original game, and travels down through the hospital's floors from 5 to 1. Although the gameplay in the sequel is distinct from the original, the objective remains the same, which is to kill without getting caught. As Lucius, you may still use telekinesis and mind control to move items and people and carry out evil plans. However, instead of just accidents, you are the Antichrist who initiates the trials of the apocalypse in the town of Ludlow. You will summon locusts, pour acid into sprinklers, and even kill another character with salt. The game concludes with Lucifer informing Lucius that he is special and capable of bringing about the rapture as the little Antichrist.
While strange whispers from Ludlow kept surfacing around the hallways, Lucius found out that his biological father, Charles Wagner, somehow survived the burning Dante Manor and was brought to this very hospital. That might be the reason behind losing his dark powers. And luckily, the blood was flowing again, bringing him closer to his father. Yes.
So, if you're into disturbing games with crazy objectives and unsettling events, but also you want to be the evil guy and not the victim, then this title is probably the perfect one for you. Lucius II was the last title for today, but it's definitely not the final one for this category. I hope the list was informative and entertaining, because to be honest, this video wasn't actually in my plans, but I felt that I needed to make it because I personally was curious about which horror games think outside the box and let you play the role of the evil that you're usually escaping from. If you enjoyed this compilation, and you want to see similar content where I talk about certain aspects of horror games, then tell me in the comments if you have any ideas. Until then, stay safe, and please don't let any game affect your mind.